All right, I promised basketball. We keep going with basketball in segment 3. Living their best life, Cedric, and it looks like Zion Williamson, the presumed #1 overall draft pick in the NBA draft, hasn't announced he's leaving, but assumed he will. Sounds like he was living a pretty good life even before. Some reports coming out that maybe the Williamson family got some extra dollars while Zion was at Duke, huh?
Yeah, hearing that maybe Nike hired his mom as a consultant, gave her $150,000. Boy, I would love to be a consultant for Nike. If that's what consulting is paying, I need to hire a consultant to figure out how to get a consultant's job in Oregon. You know what? I saw this story, and they were saying it was, the ugly word bribery was thrown around. And I live in Austin, so and that word's been thrown around a lot lately with the UT tennis program.
Right.
I digress. He pleaded guilty, by the way. But if they gave her $150,000 to deliver Zion, I wish she could have gotten $300,000. Because Zion Williamson doesn't get any money to play basketball.
Right.
Zion Williamson, arguably the most popular basketball player in America this past season, because LeBron James, as good as he was, the Lakers weren't really relevant this year. So I'm not mad at Zion. I'm not mad at his mom. If they got a bag of money, just a mere pittance of what the NCAA is making off these kids, I'm not mad at all. Money is money. He's not going to get any money for his likeness. He's not going to get any money for playing basketball. He's going to get a ton of money when he signs his endorsement contract and his NBA contract. But as far as we're talking about, as far as an amateur athlete getting a piece of the pie, more power to him.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, Cedric, but the whole cloud over college basketball since, it's been 2 years or so since the FBI announced that they had looked into some things involving college basketball, indictments, assistant coaches, fixers, middlemen involved in all that. So ever since then, there's been wiretaps and all measure of scandal out there. But, the thing that I'm with you. I know people say, hey, wait, athletes get free education, room and board, all of that. But it's hard to square in your mind how much money Coach K is making, for example, at Duke, with what Zion Williamson and any other player at Duke is receiving as a full-time athlete in addition to being a full-time student at Duke. So, for the NCAA, I think they're going to have to continue. I know nobody at the NCAA wants to think about how much they need or how much they would have to pay if players were somehow compensated, especially in men's basketball, in football, those sorts of things. But these are the types of things that the NCAA is going to have to continue to face if they don't figure out some way to do something for the players that goes beyond just the basics, because you've got athletes coming from situations where it's not enough if mom can't pay the light bill or dad can't, make the car payment. They feel like they need to help as much as they can, and so these things are happening. And I don't think that that's going to change, unfortunately. So does that force the NCAA's hand? I think that becomes a real question that, Cedric, you would hope leaders in the NCAA are at least talking about, maybe not publicly, but doesn't there have to be some conversation happening among NCAA leaders about this?
Oh, absolutely. And guess who's getting rich, Jen? Coaches, athletic directors, TV executives, conferences, Big 12,
yeah.
SEC, you name it. You got Roy Williams doing car commercials with that Ram. And I guess it's Chrysler, and I guess the Dodge Ram. I understand the marketing behind that. Coach K's got radio shows, and everybody's getting rich, and the players are holding the bag. Yeah. I'm sorry. Congratulations. Here's your degree and a $40,000 a year job. Your coach, John Calipari's making $9.2 million a year.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time Calipari made a layup or a free throw or stopped anybody on defense.
Yeah.
I know college is the biggest joke going is that college is amateur athletics. The only amateur part about it are the people playing it. Everybody else is getting money. People like you and me getting charged $100 just to see a college football game. wearing shirts with V Young on the back of it, and Colt McCoy and Sam Bradford. Their jerseys are selling like hotcakes. You think the Baker Mayfield jersey, they can't even keep those in stock now in Norman. So those kind of things, Kyler Murray, those kind of things are just adding to the pot that is the solid gold printing press, printing money machine that is college football and college basketball. And the kids aren't getting any of that money. Great to get a scholarship, but when you represent your team, there's one thing, but when you're making all these dollars for your school, you should share in some of those profits. I will go to my grave believing that.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about the Williamsons possibly living a good life, here's somebody else living a good life this week, Cedric. That's a couple NBA greats that are getting ready to retire, Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade, both announcing, Dirk making it official earlier this week. He is done playing in the NBA. We knew Dwayne Wade was finishing up his career, but special moments for both of those guys. Cedric, if you didn't see it yet, go watch that commercial that Budweiser has produced.
I've seen it.
I may or may not be a Budweiser fan, but that commercial was fantastic. And then obviously all the people that showed up for the retirement ceremonies for those guys, unbelievable stuff. And Cedric, both of those guys have been nothing but class during their time in the league. Champions, both of them, both have at least one NBA championship ring. Unbelievable careers, unbelievable legacies that both of those guys have left.
Represented the league with class, dignity, and they were fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Nowitzki changed how 6'11" guys are viewed in this league. He came into this league shooting jumpers and threes, and people were like, you better get your big butt down on the block and go dunk on somebody. But then they noticed that he'd made 4 threes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are like, he's a stretch 4. That's what we'll call it. He's a stretch 4. He's a big guy that can shoot threes. And so he changed the way the position is played. Dwayne Wade and Allen Iverson changed the way point guard is played. Those guys did not mind scoring. They might only have 3 or 4 assists, but you look up and they're running. The offensive are running through them. And when you look at how they impacted the game, they not only impacted it on the floor, they're both very much involved in charitable pursuits. You saw the commercial with D Wade. He helped so many kids. That made my heart full, because what we like to do, and even in our business, is we try to use our jobs as a platform to make our communities better. And when you're impacting communities outside of what you do for a living, that is the impact. We're going to always remember that these guys were great at basketball, but if you can help a few people along the way in your journey, then you stand even taller. And I love that about these two. We need more like them. And as a basketball fan, I want to applaud them for what they did on the court and off the court.
Yep, I couldn't have said it any better myself, so I won't even try. Cedric, great stuff. Another week of the Writer's Block has come and gone. That's it for this week. Come back, though, and see us next week. We'll see you then.